In the heart of the city, where shadows stretched long and secrets ran deep, lived a man named Adrian. He wasn't a hero by choice, but by a single, defining moment. One rain-swept night, he pulled a young woman named Alara from the wreckage of a brutal car crash, an act of selfless courage that would forever bind their fates. He saved her life, but in the process, he lost a piece of himself. The memory of her terrified eyes, the feel of her fragile hand in his, it was a ghost that refused to leave him. Adrian tried to move on. He threw himself into his work, building a successful business from the ground up. He dated, he traveled, he filled his days with noise and distraction, all in a desperate attempt to drown out the echo of that night. But Alara's face was a constant presence, a phantom whisper in the quiet moments. He would see a stranger with her hair color and his heart would stop. He'd hear a laugh like hers in a crowded room and would turn, hoping, only to be met with disappointment. He had saved her, but he couldn't save himself from the memory of her. Meanwhile, Alara, who had no memory of the crash or her rescuer, was trying to piece her own life back together. She was plagued by a sense of incompleteness, a feeling that a crucial part of her story was missing. She felt an inexplicable pull, a longing for a face she couldn't picture, a voice she couldn't recall. Her life was a puzzle with a missing centerpiece, and that void was the man who had vanished after saving her. Years passed. Adrian's success grew, but so did his emptiness. He had built a fortress around his heart, convinced that forgetting her was the only way to find peace. He was just a footnote in her story, a nameless face in the chaos of that night. He had to let her go, but the more he pushed the memory away, the stronger its hold became. He was a man haunted not by a ghost, but by a life he could have had, by a connection he had severed himself. One day, a business meeting brought Adrian to a new art gallery downtown. As he walked through the sunlit space, his eyes fell upon a series of paintings. He felt an uncanny connection to the artwork, as if the artist had somehow dipped their brush into his own soul. He moved closer to read the artist's name on a small plaque. Alara. His breath caught in his throat. It couldn't be. He looked around the gallery, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. And then he saw her. She was standing across the room, talking to a guest, her smile as radiant as he had imagined 1,000 times. She was no longer the frightened girl from the accident, but a confident, beautiful woman. All the walls he had built around his heart crumbled in an instant. Alara felt a pair of eyes on her and turned. Her gaze met Adrian's. For a moment, the world stood still. There was no lightning bolt of recognition, no dramatic gasp. Instead, there was something far more profound. A quiet sense of familiarity, a feeling of coming home. It was as if her soul recognized his, even if her mind did not. A faint, fragmented image flashed in her memory-strong hands, a calming voice through the rain, a sense of absolute safety. Adrian took a hesitant step forward, then another. At Kono. He had to speak to her. As he approached, Alara's polite smile faltered, replaced by a look of deep curiosity. Have we met before? She asked, her voice soft. The question hung in the air between them, charged with years of unspoken history. Adrian's voice was hoarse when he finally spoke. A long time ago, on a night when it was raining. The words were simple, but they held the weight of a shared lifetime. Alara's eyes widened. The fragments in her memory began to connect, the fog starting to clear. The feeling of incompleteness that had shadowed her for years began to recede, replaced by the dawning light of understanding. In that gallery, surrounded by art born from her own subconscious longing, Alara finally found the missing piece of a puzzle. And Adrian, the man who had lost himself trying to forget her, finally realized that he was never truly lost. He was just waiting to be found. Their story wasn't about a hero and a victim. It was about two souls, separated by fate, who spent years searching for the other half of their own hearts. Their journey from that moment was not a simple fairy tale. It was a delicate process of rediscovery. Adrian had to learn to let go of the guilt and the ghost of the past, while Alara had to reconcile the man standing before her with the faceless hero of her fragmented memories. They talked for hours, sharing the stories of the years they had spent apart. filling in the blank pages of each other's lives. Adrian learned about her art, how painting became her therapy, her way of expressing the emotions she couldn't understand. Alara learned about the empire he had built, a monument to his attempt to outrun his own heart. They discovered that while their paths had diverged, their journeys had been strangely parallel, both searching for a sense of peace and wholeness that had eluded them. They found that the heroic act that brought them together was just the prologue. The real story was in the everyday moments, in shared laughter over coffee, in quiet walks through the park, in the comfortable silence of two people who finally felt complete. Adrian, the man who once believed forgetting was his only option, now found his greatest joy in remembering, in seeing the woman he saved not as a memory to be escaped, but as a future to be embraced. And Ilara, the woman who lived with a void, found that the space wasn't empty after all. It was simply waiting for the one person who was always meant to fill it. Their love story wasn't about being saved, but about saving each other, over and over again, in the most beautifully ordinary ways. Thank you for watching this noble heart's story. If their journey touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of love and destiny. We'll see you next time.